All right, let's jump right into one of the biggest, oldest questions humanity has ever asked. Does God exist? To tackle this, we're going to look at it through the eyes of two incredible thinkers, coming at it from completely opposite directions.
So, first things first, why does this question even matter so much? I mean, really, what are the stakes? Well, as philosopher Alex O'Connor puts it so well, this is no ivory tower debate. If there is a God and you're just ignoring that fact, that could be a huge mistake. The consequences are massive, no matter which way you slice it.
And the two people we're going to follow in this debate are just fascinating. On one side, you have Dr. Francis Collins. This guy's a heavyweight scientist. He literally led the Human Genome Project. But here's the twist. He started out as an atheist and then became a Christian. And on the other side, we've got Alex O'Connor. He's a sharp Oxford philosopher, a guy known for his intense skepticism. So you've got this amazing clash of worldviews.
Right, before we can even start looking for answers, we have to figure out what we're looking for. With a question this huge, where do you even begin? I think the first and maybe the biggest hurdle is just agreeing on the terms. Like, what would proof of God even look like?
And this is where Dr. Collins makes a really key distinction. He says, look, he's not here to give you a mathematical proof, something that's totally undeniable. Instead, he's presenting evidence, clues that point in a certain direction. He argues that God didn't want to just force belief on us with some kind of logical slam dunk. It's meant to be a choice, a leap of faith based on the evidence we see.
Okay, so with that whole evidence, not proof idea in mind, let's open up our first case file. And we're starting big, like as big as it gets. We're looking at the entire universe.
And the question here is just, wow, it's a mind bender. It's this. Do the basic rules of the universe, the fundamental constants of physics like gravity and all that stuff, do they seem like they're perfectly dialed in, just so life could exist? Let me give you a concrete example from Dr. Collins. Take gravity. He says that if you changed its strength by even a tiny, tiny fraction, like 1 part in a million, the whole show would be over. The universe would have either just flown apart into nothing, or it would have collapsed back in on itself. Either way, no stars, no planets, no us, no chance. So for Collins, this isn't just some random coincidence. This incredible, razor-thin precision, he sees it as a giant flashing sign. It's powerful evidence, in his view, that some kind of intelligence was behind it all, setting those dials with a purpose. The purpose? To make a universe that's complex and, well, interesting enough for us to be in it.
But, and this is a big but, here comes Alex O'Connor with his philosophical counterargument. He flips the whole thing on its head. He asks, okay, let's say God is all-powerful. Why would an all-powerful being be stuck with these super narrow rules? Couldn't a truly omnipotent creator make life happen under, any set of rules?
All right, case file number 2. And what's so interesting here is that this next piece of evidence seems to point in the exact opposite direction. If the fine-tuning of the cosmos suggests a careful, intelligent designer, well, the sheer amount of suffering on our own planet seems to scream chaos and indifference.
O'Connor really zeroes in on this. He says, just look at how we got here. Evolution. It's a process that's, by its very nature, filled with billions of years of brutal competition, of animals eating other animals, of extinction. To him, this looks exactly like what you'd expect from a universe without a plan, not a world crafted by a loving God.
And he makes this point even sharper by focusing on animal suffering. I mean, think about it. Predation, starvation, disease. Why would a loving God build a system on predators ripping their prey apart? Couldn't God have just made all the animals herbivores? It's a really tough question he poses. Is our existence really worth the unimaginable price paid in animal suffering over hundreds of millions of years? Now, Collins has a counter to this. He sees it as an unavoidable part of the kind of universe God chose to make. A universe with consistent, predictable natural laws. God set the whole thing in motion and then let it run. So in this view, all that suffering isn't some mistake or a bug in the system. It's a feature of a universe that runs on its own without God having to constantly jump in and fix things.
Okay, so we've looked at the cosmos, we've looked at biology. Now let's switch gears and go into history. And we're going to zero in on the absolute central claim of Christianity, the resurrection of Jesus. So O'Connor comes at this like a historian, looking at the Gospels just as ancient texts. And when he does that, he sees a pattern. He argues that the stories seem to, well, evolve over time. The earliest accounts are pretty simple, but as the decades pass, the stories get more detailed, more dramatic, and more theological. It looks to him a lot like how myths develop.
Collins, though, builds his case from a totally different angle. He starts with the things pretty much all historians agree on. 1, there was a real historical guy named Jesus. 2, he was crucified. Then he makes his key point. Look at the disciples. These guys went from being terrified and hiding to suddenly risking everything, even their lives, to say they saw him resurrected. He asks, would they really all die for something they knew was a lie?
And this is what makes it all so fascinating. Because even Alex O'Connor, the skeptic, admits something really weird happened on that Easter morning. Something so powerful that it took this small, defeated group of followers and turned them into a movement that literally changed the course of world history. You can't just brush that off.
Okay, so we've looked at the universe, at suffering, at history, and on every point you can see how two brilliant people can look at the same facts and come to completely opposite conclusions. It feels like we're at a stalemate, right? So if logic and reason can't get us all the way there, what's left?
And for Dr. Collins, this is where it gets personal. He says the thing that finally tipped the scales for him wasn't another logical argument, it was an experience, a moment of what he calls revelation. He describes it as a message that felt like it came from outside himself, something that wasn't just his own brain talking. It was an experience that went beyond logic and, for him, demanded a response.
And here's maybe the most surprising twist of the whole debate. You'd think O'Connor would just dismiss that, right? But he doesn't. He actually agrees that personal experience is, and I'm quoting him here, the most legitimate way imaginable for a person to come to believe in God. Now, he's quick to add that it can't be used as evidence to convince somebody else, it's private. But for the person having that experience, he gets it. It's a powerful, valid reason for their own belief.
So where does that leave us? We're faced with this huge mystery, a universe that seems both exquisitely designed and yet filled with so much brutal suffering. So what actually counts as evidence? Is it the math of the cosmos, the debated words of ancient history, or is it something else? Something more personal, found in those quiet moments that you just can't quite explain with logic alone. It's the ultimate question, and the debate is far from over.